I am drawing on the imagery of Glendalough for this reflection. But you may begin with some monastic site in your own area, something that recalls an ancient story, and we draw on that for this reflection. Life moves on in its own surprising ways. I recall spending some days in Glendalough in the winter season a few years ago. It was quiet with very few visitors, so it was possible to reflect in the monastic site with little interference. Glendalough is a place which flourished for many centuries, but it faced struggles and tensions in trying to adapt over time. When signs of decline became obvious, another group of monks was brought in to reform the monastery. They failed in that mission. The remains of their monastery, which is not far away, has become another memory, another place for visitors. Parts of the building of that main monastery survive, yet Glendalough is more than the ruins of the past. It is one of the greatest tourist attractions in the country. The tombstones are not of monks, but of people much later who wanted to be buried in that hallowed site. The monks had a burial mound with no marked graves. For them, it was a place where they awaited resurrection. They had a different perspective. There are many messages to be gleaned from the place and the story. Glendalough is a place of natural beauty with water, so it is a very suitable location for a monastery. It speaks of success and failure in different ways, of the divine meeting the human. It was something of its time, with adaptations made, but eventually could not be sustained. The ruins are symptomatic of something greater, of people, of way of life, of a centre of learning, of a meeting place with the Lord, of a sacred memory. Buildings with a solid tower and ruins are symbolic of the story with its strengths and weaknesses, of the enduring and the fragile. The walls may have crumbled, the foundations subsided, the roof fallen in, but something remains, though much has been destroyed. It is a story with different chapters, but there's a legacy that continues to offer a message to life in a time of continuity and change. God's story is ongoing. Amid the truth and the apocryphal, there is the story of monks who sought to live authentically and followed Jesus in the world of their time. It is a story of myth and mystery, of truth and folklore that unfolded over many centuries. It has been interpreted and reinterpreted. Behind it all, there is something that holds it together and leaves a message to be lived in changing times. It challenges the notion of permanency that we can cherish, reminding us there is a time for everything. Conditions and circumstances change, calling for another way to express the underlying truths and to live them. The prophetic call continues through the memories that are a source of inspiration. Glendalough speaks of peace and struggle, of conflict and harmony, but it is not a dead place, for it continues to draw people. Its memory and message lives on and has found different expressions over time. There is a spirit that continues to emanate from there. In more recent times, it has become more clearly a place of pilgrimage, of prayer and of retreat. Facilities have been provided for that. There has been a rekindling of some of the founding spirit in that beautiful valley. It has taken a different form appropriate to this age. What has emerged is in continuity with the past, but is different and provides a bridge to the future. The sacred story has not been lost. The story of Glendalough might speak to us as church in an in-between time, as it draws attention to the past, but points to something further. Attempts to hold on to the aspects of the past or to restore them to their former glory are not succeeding. Pining for it doesn't help, yet remembering is important. The prophets who set out to resurrect the past are not finding many listening ears. There is some recognition that it is a transition time and a call into the new. That does not mean we are to hasten the demise of what has been. There's much to ponder on and gain fruit from. The same applies to what came after the monastery in Glendalough in other forms of committed life. Those too have come to a time of decline, and it will be replaced by something in due course, for God is faithful. Glendalough continues to have a message for people of this generation who are finding a need to get away from the hustle and bustle of life, to find a quiet place to be and to pray. History teaches us that the new emerges over time. Attempts to hasten growth do not work particularly well. Trying to put something new in place too quickly is more likely to be a human venture. God's way does emerge, though often slowly. Recall the words of the prophet Habakkuk. Then Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain on tablets so a runner may read it. For there is a vision for the appointed time. It speaks to the end. It does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not delay. In chapter 2 of Habakkuk. There is the invitation to clarify the vision anew. This renewed vision is needed to inspire movement and hope. But this is the corrective stance that we need with patience to wait. Waiting will involve some tension. This can be formative as we continue to look to the Lord for guidance. There's an invitation to listen to the call now. We are called to reformulate our vision, taking into account the gospel message and the world in which we live and work. Bridging the gap between the gospel and the world is an ongoing adventure. When the picture has changed, it may require a new frame rather than being trimmed or adjusted into an old one. Those who founded new ventures such as St. Kevin and Glendalough learned by reflecting on their experience. They were rooted in reality, but with a vision and a dream that inspired them. Adaptations were made over time in meeting new situations. They trusted God to guide them in bringing the gospel to the world of their time. We have been entrusted with the same mission. For the church and for each of us, decisions will have to be made for the future as happened at Glendalough. Departures from places and ministries may be in the offing for many of us, though in some of these situations, others will continue the mission, perhaps in a different way. Changing structures or ways of organizing is on the cards for many groups. Structures are a means to an end, and if they do not serve that end, their time has come. There's a call for change. However, change of structure may offer limited results. More often the challenge is to change people, to change ourselves, to bring conversion and a different attitude that is more in harmony with the spirit of the gospel. The inner conversion can bring more tension than the outer changes. Letting go of our own way or of being in control does not come automatically for us. We are invited to respond to the Lord's ongoing invitation to fuller life and love. This is not meant to be a time of crisis change, as that does not work very well. Often it leads to short-term decisions. We are to approach the challenge as an opportunity to prayerfully find the way. There's the tension and there are various pulls in making our choices, but these factors can help us to choose wisely and to let the Spirit guide us. There is a call for a fresh approach that acknowledges the past while seeking a way forward in a new situation. This is an occasion when there's a choice, with some attempting to restore the old and the historic, while others seek to construct something new, taking account of fundamental truths, as well as the changed situation, newer insights, with different environmental considerations. We are to build on the fidelity of God and on the story of the past. But that does not mean building on top of something whose walls are fragile or whose foundations are insecure, or putting a roof on a building that is unstable. The building needs more than human ingenuity to form it for a new situation. For that, we need to turn to the Lord, as well as taking note of the location and the site of what is being built, for what and for whom. Human constructions are not easily adapted, they're for their time. Adaptations of structure and design are part of everyday life with the availability of new materials, new techniques and skills. But Jesus remains the foundation and the cornerstone. Psalm 118 and Matthew 21. It is He who will provide what is needed. We are to be living stones built into a spiritual house, as we read in the first letter of Peter. While remembering the past, we are to write the present chapter, building for the future in a way that offers continuity and hope, resting on the fidelity of God. We could ask ourselves about what we wish to leave after us. Sacred places and memories for others, tombstones, places that await resurrection. We do not have to leave monuments in our honor with our names on them, but we're asked to provide memories of how God's story and the human story have met, and how God's story continues. The monks in Glendalough would have had little idea of what might have happened after them, but God's work continued in new and different ways, for that was God's promise. The monks left a legacy. The stones of the monastery commemorate the vision of God as Jacob recognized when he reflected on his vision at Bethel. Truly God is in this place, but we're not able to recognize it. So we can be led by the Lord's surprising ways in what lies ahead. So for reflection, what message does Glendalough give me and to us as church at this time? How is it a bridge to the future? What are the challenges and temptations of this time? What tensions am I most aware of at this time of transition, and how do they influence me? For texts, you might take that Jacob 1 in Genesis 28, his meeting God and the vision of God and his reflection on it. 1 Peter 2, come to him as living stones, rejected by mortals, yet chosen and precious in God's sight. Or the fidelity of God in Matthew 28, 16 to 20. Remember, I am with you always to the end of time. God be with you.